about the role of the Office for Budget Responsibility in all this? Because obviously that body was set up to sort of act as a check and balance to a budget that might go slightly off the rails. To be fair, you didn't consult the OBR, and that might have been why your budget went off the rails.
Sure.
But are the OBR now sort of having far too much influence on the contents of the budget?
So I think they're a very powerful organisation. And the reason why they're more powerful now is that we tried to cut them out. Liz Truss and I tried to cut them out.
Why did you decide to do that?
I think the feeling was that we just wanted to get on with things. I think the Prime Minister was very keen to press her programme, and she knew that if she went through the OBR, a lot of the things she wanted to achieve would have been prevented, essentially.
Yeah, so there's an agreement that the OBR has become all too powerful.
It's very powerful. I mean, there's no question that
too powerful.
It really constrains what chancellors can do.
But are you saying too powerful?
I'm saying that I think it's got way too much force, and I can understand why chancellors and the civil service look to the OBR. But the other thing about the OBR is that its predictions are almost always wrong. And I was very clear when I said this to the Prime Minister at the time, that their 72 billion black hole that they predicted, I said by the new year that would close because inflation was high, and that meant fiscal drag would mean that taxes were going to go up, as is exactly what happened. I mean, so the black hole wasn't nearly as big as they suggested.
On fiscal drag, shouldn't he have unfrozen the thresholds? Because when we did all of our calculations for the Telegraph, you can put your earnings into a tool and find out if you're more well off or better off or less well off in 5 years' time. Everyone's less well off because of the freezing of the tax thresholds.
And that's where the OBR's numbers are really important, because if he were to lift the thresholds, according to the OBR's arithmetic, he'd have to raise money in other areas to make the thing balance. And that's why it's very difficult with the OBR to reduce taxes, because essentially they force you, if you're going to reduce taxes, they force you to either raise taxes elsewhere or borrow the money, which creates its own problems.
I mean, on another level, isn't it a good idea for them to have shot Labour's foxes when it came to, say, the scrapping of non-dom and some of the other measures?
Well, the problem with that, I mean, it sounds clever and it's triangulation, the sort of thing we saw 20 years ago. But a risk of that is that if you're essentially taking Labour policies, you're endorsing Labour.
Yeah.
And the electorate will say, well, you're doing Labour policies anyway, why don't we just vote for Labour?
Yeah.
That's
so do you think
my
they should have been a bit more reformish?
Well, look, I think, and actually Michael was here early, Michael Portillo, and he used to have a phrase, which I remember from back in the day, clear blue water. You want some distinction between what you're offering and what the opposition is offering. If you're essentially doing a pale imitation of what they want to do, you're essentially endorsing their platform. And people will ask themselves, well, why don't we just vote for Labour?
Well,